want the Epstein files released. He doesn't want your support. And then even then, he mentioned that Pam Bondi released a bunch of new files in the Capitol, but Trump was in Mar-a-Lago that day. When he was talking about, he said, today he released the new files in D.C. He's like, that didn't even happen. That was just not true.
Yeah, I think he issued a correction to it. I haven't kept up with it too much. But yeah, I think someone in my chat said that he issued a correction about that today.
Yeah.
But yeah, that interview, bro, like I literally, I was coming back from South Carolina from the debates. So I wasn't really on the internet like that to even know what happened. So like I literally got home, took like a short nap, woke up and Alex Jones was at the studio. Cause like Fresh was coordinating everything. So I just woke up and just jumped right on camera. So that's kind of why I was like, not aware of what was going on. Cause I was dead, dude. That whole trip fucked me up sleep-wise.
Yeah, I saw someone open up their backpack and look like he was trying to threatening you.
Yeah. That dude, so funny, I'll break the third wall here. A lot of people don't know this. He was surrounded by cops, bro. Like USC has really good police presence of all the campuses that I go to. So they actually had him surrounded. There was a bunch of cops all over the place. You just can't see them on camera. But if he had tried something, it would have been really bad for him. Mm-hmm. That's like the worst campus to try something. It's just that no one knows because the camera was focused on him. But there were 2 cops to his left, and then there was like another 3 to his right.
Were you clutching?
No, dude, I was pretty chill. A lot of people said, Myron, you didn't like. You got to be more careful. Like I was just
but
because I knew he was trolling. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, like.
But still, that stuff's crazy, bro. And like that guy, what an idiot, absolute idiot. He like, what if he got shot? What if somebody hurt him or tackled him because he's clip farming? Fucking idiot. He probably will get expelled, right? I hope he doesn't. I'm not saying he should, but any school would see that.
Yeah, just idiot. Like I'm not complaining about it. A lot of people say, Myron, you're too nonchalant about this shit. But for me, I knew right away when he was walking. I was like, and he did that shit. I was like, yeah, this guy's a fucking dumbass. Because nobody that's actually trying to do something like that is gonna telegraph all their movements so much, right? But it was still incredibly stupid to do something like that. Incredibly stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people want to kill us.
If I was like, let's say we were in Florida and he tried that shit, it would have been, he would have probably got easily smoked. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people want to kill us. They're putting out death threats, and a lot of angry people right now.
Yeah, lots of them, man. Chat, give me ones if audio is good. I think it's good on mine, and let me know if Sneako is good too.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I mean on my send for my guys. I know our audio is good here, but I just want to make sure they can hear you too. Right. But yeah, no, dude, it's there's been a crusade to go after people like us for years, bro. And the funny part is like a lot of these crazy liberals, like they would celebrate if something happened to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the college stuff right now, especially post Kirk, do you think it's the smartest thing I mean, you're definitely going to continue doing it. I'm not going to convince you.
You asked, is it the smartest thing?
Yeah.
Well, with anything, there's always going to be risk, right? There's always going to be risk with anything that you do. There's always going to be, things that you have to take into place. Really, the only thing you could do is try to mitigate risk as best you can, and make things happen. One of the biggest criticisms I get from people is that, I'm not worried enough, I guess. But, I think I'm not going to let fear control me. The best I could do is just mitigate certain risks.
Yep,
and make things happen.
Absolutely. Did Alex Jones, did he correct, right when the Epstein files were released recently, the 3 million files, he was putting out information stating that Zohar Mamdani was Epstein's son. Did he correct that?
I don't know if he corrected that. Hold on, let me try to, because they're saying you're coming in a little low. I'm trying to.
So, okay, just right-click my face, or no.
User volume, right?
Yeah, right-click my face and then raise the user volume.
Okay, I'm turning that up right now. Chat, can you hear him better now? Can you just give it a test real quick?
I'm talking. We have sub-only mode chat on. We're getting chat botted. The chat's slow. It's because sub-only is on because I'm getting chat botted. We'll keep it on for a bit. I'll turn the regular chat on in a sec. We good?
Okay. Yeah, I turned it up on my end. I don't know if it did too much, but yeah, keep going. You're good.
I saw a lot of kooky stuff. Just raise my volume. Okay. I saw a lot
I raised it. I did. I put the volume literally all the way up.
You could raise it in OBS as well.
I raised it all the way to the top.
Can they still not hear me?
They can, but you know how niggas are. It's hitting the yellow. It's hitting the bottom. When you talk, it's hitting the bottom of the yellow.
Okay. Indian textbook. So I saw a lot of clips from Alex Jones thing. I didn't watch the whole interview.
There we go.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuttering going on from, not you, but when he was speaking, he started talking about a lot of kooky stuff. he started saying, like, oh, babies and rituals and demons and the Democrats. Did he ever say explicitly that Epstein was an Israeli spy or no?
Yeah, he did. He did confirm that. He did say that he was a spy, and he was, obviously working, in his interests. And we brought Dershowitz came up a little bit as well. But yeah, no, he did definitely confirm that he was an asset.
So why is Alex Jones still glazing Trump if Trump is tied up with all the Israelis and he was an Israeli spy?
I don't know. From what he said, from what he basically said was, Trump is in the files, but not actually as a guilty party. And he was saying him not releasing the files ASAP is going to hurt his credibility, but he was more concerned with stock market going down, people getting implicated in there that he knows. That's how he kind of said why it looked bad. And he was like, and he said he came down to Florida to put pressure on the administration to release everything so that he stops getting dragged. But that's what Alex said. So okay. I'm not too.
Do you believe him? Because especially after he started pushing for the past 2 years, he's one of the forefronts of conservative media, talking about how there's an Islamic takeover of the West, the Islamic takeover of the West. And then clearly look at Howard Lutnick looking like Trump's handler, the guy who was absent on 9/11 while most of his firm died. Howard Lutnick, who was there.
He called Lutnick out during the interview. He did call Lutnick out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's been saying that there's an Islamic takeover. Like what, Muslims are 2% of America, and clearly look who is actually taking over America. This was not a blackmail operation done by Saudi or Qatar. It was the blackmail operation was Israeli Jews, right? They said Goyim in the Epstein files. It's like that type of stuff is. So he pushes that for 2 years. Then this is released, and he's been talking about a global pedophile elite for his entire career. Finally, he's vindicated on that. And then it looks like he was even supportive of. It sounds like he was even supportive of the war in Iran. So what is this guy? So what is he really about?
No, he's anti. I asked him about that. He doesn't. He's anti-war in that he doesn't want us to get dragged in. He kind of has the same view as me that a war with Iran poses no benefit, and that more than likely if we do go in, it's probably going to be because we're getting dragged by Israel. And Israel's already said that they are going. If we don't support them, they're going to attack no matter what. So I would say we got probably a month or so, and I think that was a big reason why. Well, that is not even a big reason. That is the reason why Netanyahu came to the United States to have that discussion with him. He took the side door. They didn't even do a press conference after. I think he came over to say, look, we're not confident in these negotiations. They only want to talk nuclear. They don't want to talk ballistic missile program. That's their biggest fear is the ballistic missile program. The 6-day war definitely showed the chinks in Israel's armor. And that is why they're really...
Would you call me?
What?
Would you just call me?
The chinks in the armor? Oh, this nigga. Okay, I just caught
What the fuck? I thought we were... Anyway, keep going.
This guy, bro. This guy. Yeah, so... El Sneako for interrupting. But yeah, what was I going to say? Fuck, this nigga threw me off. Oh, okay. So yeah, the 12-day war, excuse me, the 12-day war, not the 6-day war, not to be confused. The 12-day war showed a lot of Israel's weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So with the ballistic missile program, as much as they lie in the mainstream media and say, oh, Iran didn't do anything, the Israelis had, air power, the superior air power, that might be true, but they took quite a bit of damage in the process. And basically the nuclear program, which was like the main thing they used to justify attacking Iran for decades, now it's the ballistic missile program. And Iran's already said, we're not negotiating the ballistic missile program whatsoever. So, and Trump actually does want to kind of, handle the nuclear stuff first. He's more content with that. But the Israelis are not going to accept that. They want they want no uranium enrichment at all. They want ballistic missile program basically completely disabled. They want no support to the proxies. What they're demanding is just not feasible. So, they're pretty much at an impasse. There's like no real negotiation. I think at this point, they're just biding time. But the Israelis are 100% going to attack, and I think we're going to get dragged in. And I talked with Alex about that.
Yeah. Do you don't think that he's a paid operative in some way to run cover? Him saying he made this whole thing about giving Trump credit when he's done a disastrous job, right? I don't know if he called out Pam Bondi for saying that. Look at the Dow. Hey, Goy, look at the Dow. Don't look at the Epstein files. Trump again, he has quotes saying, Epstein, terrific guy, great guy. He likes a lot of women, very young, very beautiful. Some of them very young. It's almost a direct quote. That's
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, look, no, it's obviously weird. I agree with that. I mean, look, dude. Alex can answer better than me. If you want, I could put you in touch with him.
I would love to debate him.
And you guys
I would love to debate Alex Jones.
I don't want to speak for him and stuff.
Yeah, about the Islamic takeover of the West too. Because when I see somebody pushing that slop, it's like, okay, you're probably getting paid by the Trump administration or AIPAC, in which the two kind of, I mean, they essentially go hand in hand. Netanyahu's visited America 7 times. I think that's the most amount of times of any foreign leader in the history of this country.
Yeah.
And it's still like 1 year in the Trump's second term, 7 times this term. It's incredible.
No, it's unprecedented, bro. It's unprecedented, and it's all pretty much. They'll come in and say it's for tariffs, it's for the peace, the Board of Peace, and all. Bro, it's always Iran, bro. Hezbollah disarming. It's always to come and get something going to attack Iran, because they know that if they attack by themselves, they're still going to need U.S. support, at least from the defense perspective. So it's always that. But no, when it comes to, I agree with you on the Muslim thing. It's absolutely ridiculous that so many people on the right always blame Islam for everything when they don't have nearly as much representation or power as the J lobby, if you know what I'm saying. So, you look at someone like a Randy Fine, right? He can openly go on Twitter and be like, oh yeah, the streets of Gaza will run with blood. Like, could you imagine, like, if Ilhan Omar said the streets of Tel Aviv will run with blood? Bro, she'd be cooked immediately. There'd be an FBI investigation. She'd be kicked out. She'd be arrested, right, for, like, threatening violence. But it's like, one group is able to get away with an enormous amount of, ridiculous rhetoric with almost no consequence, right? Like, you can have Mark Levin and these guys, literally they assemble and they plot out how they're going to censor opposition, how they're going to get people fired, how they're going to ruin people for being critical of a state that was just involved in a genocide. They kicked that girl, Carrie, I don't know if you saw the clip, from the religion committee for, questioning Zionism and how people are dying in Gaza. So, when people say that, oh yeah, Islam's taking over, Muslims are taking over, like, that's kind of like stepping over quarters, or excuse me, you're basically picking up quarters and stepping over $100 bills, because though you could make that argument, there's a way bigger and way more prominent influence that's far more nefarious for a foreign state than, Muslims taking over in America. Like, what are they, 2 to 3% of the population? Almost no level of same representation.
The release of the Epstein files, it has exposed. Ben Shapiro said that the Epstein files allegedly were, in my opinion, he said that the Epstein files don't exist. It's a conspiracy. There's no claims. And then the Epstein files are released, and now he's just blaming Steve Bannon, one of the few goyim on the list that he could target that doesn't implicate his own country. He's never come out and say he's an Israeli spy. Matt Walsh, another one of the forefronts of the conservative movement, he has still not said Epstein is an Israeli spy. Patrick Bet-David, that complete fraud, is now talking about how, like, what religion is the best based off of has the most amount of billionaires. These people aren't calling out what's blatantly obvious. And Alex Jones, for example, he claimed to be anti-globalism for a long time. I just shared my screen. Can you see this?
Yeah, and I know he's talked about we didn't cover Islam too much on when I wish
you covered. Did you cover war in Iran? Because in here in 2024, right after
the only thing we covered is me and him basically agreeing that Israel's going to drag us into the war and he doesn't want to be involved. But we didn't talk too much about Muslims. We really focused more on just Epstein, and the Iran portion was just a few minutes, and we both don't want to go to war.
And what did the sidekick do? The co-host, did he bring up numerology? What was he talking about? Okay. I'm joking around. So this is 2024. Yeah, Alex Jones says Biden did the right thing striking Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq, saying they attacked us. This is a control response. This is a rare time that Biden did not take the bait and did the right thing. This is better than war. So he said that he was the globalists. And then here's a war that's very pro-globalist and he's in support of it. He says he was anti-war, but then we're striking Iranian targets. He's in support of it. And even more recently, too, I'm going to find this one as well. I'll unshare my screen. If I'm not mistaken, he's been in full support of, he wants Americans to go and deploy troops in Iran. Well, I don't know what you think.
That's not what he's, when I spoke with him, he was like, no, we don't want, he said we got to, which I agree with him on this. He said we got to get out of the Middle East and look at China, and I agree with that. But no, he didn't. He was against the war.
Okay, so he doesn't want Trump to continue to glaze Netanyahu the way he's been doing.
No, and I mean that's what you showed me. It looked like 2 years ago. Maybe he's changed his position, but yeah, like definitely not for the war at all. and neither am I. And I don't think anyone should be at this point. You know, even if I know there's a bunch of people that say, oh, well, we don't like Iran, we don't like their leadership, their theocracy, whatever. You know, whether you like them or not, we've effectively proven now at this point that regime change wars just simply don't work. They don't benefit anybody. They put us in a precarious situation because the problem with Iran, right? So like, I don't know if you want me to go into this and kind of
I do. I want to talk about Iran with
you
you because people are wondering, you know,
Sure.
how quickly when do you think war with Iran? Because it's inevitable. The U.S. is going to go to war with Iran for Israel. When is that going to happen?
Sure. Yeah. I'd be happy to analyze this. So, to kind of understand this, right? I predict something is going to happen within probably the next month, and I think that's what Netanyahu came here for. Was, you know, hey, I'm here. We want to strike Iran. We're not, hopeful of these negotiations. We're very skeptical, and quite frankly, they don't want to talk about the ballistic missiles. They want to only talk about nuclear, and that isn't our big priority. You know, we set the nuclear program back already. We want to go after the missiles. And the reason, and now it makes sense why Iran was so, if you remember, like 2024, 2025, the Israelis were attacking Iran constantly. They bombed the embassy in Syria. They had done assassinations in Iran. They had done a lot of provocation. And the Iranians were always very reluctant to hit them back very hard. But after the 12-day war, when they basically, gave them their damn near Pearl Harbor event, the Iranians hit them back very hard. And what ended up happening, it was a catch-22 because on one end, they were able to show that they can actually deal some damage to the Israelis. And, they were able to beat the stereotypes of them being a paper tiger. But in doing that, they also showed their capabilities. And by showing your capabilities, now the Israelis can justify and say, yo, these guys have these ballistic missiles and they can actually destroy Tel Aviv. Now we really need to destroy them. So that is why I think the Iranians were so reluctant to show their full capabilities. And they still haven't, by the way, was because they knew that the Israelis would just move the goalposts and say, okay, we don't care about nuclear anymore. We care about the ballistic missile program. And the reason why the Iranians are never going to get rid of it is because that's precisely what's keeping them safe. Trump and Israel is thinking twice before attacking them. Because that 12-day war left a bad taste in their mouth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're saying no new wars, and then we had the 12-day war with Iran. And seeing them burn that statue of Baal in Tehran, I'm sure you saw that. That got me fired up. I'd love to see that. I wish America would burn a statue like that as well. I remember tweeting in 2024.
Interestingly enough, I confirmed. So here's a fun fact. I confirmed this with Alex and a couple other people. The reason why Trump struck last year was because the Israelis were threatening to use nuclear on the Iranians. If we didn't intervene and destroy their nuclear facilities. That's why Trump intervened. Because in my head, when he did, I was like, why the fuck would he do this? Because if you remember back in June, it was wildly unpopular. I remember like Dave Smith, me, you, a bunch of people came out saying like, yo, what the hell is this? We voted for no new wars. He got a lot of backlash from the base. Bannon went, and pleaded with him at the White House before the strike. And then I find out months later, both Alex Jones and John Kirikow confirmed this, former CIA guy, that basically the Israelis told Trump, if you don't attack, we're going to use nuclear. And the reason why the Israelis were pushed to the edge is because to understand how Israel defends itself, you got to understand like how they do things, right? So Israel relies on two main things with their warfare. For their defense, they rely on their air defense between the sling, the Davis sling, the arrow, and the Iron Dome. For their attack, they rely on their air power, right? Now, the issue with this is though they can shoot down a lot of missiles, interceptors are significantly more expensive, costly, and difficult to procure than the drones and the missiles that Iran makes domestically. So in a war of attrition where the Iranians have time on their side, it's just a matter of time until they lose all their interceptor missiles, and now they're going to start getting hit. And they've depleted, just in that 12-day war, roughly 25% of their stockpile of interceptor missiles. So the Israelis came to Trump and said, we're running out of interceptors. If you don't do something, we are going to nuke them. That's why he intervened, blew up the nuclear facilities to stop the war and try to get a ceasefire negotiated right away. And that makes sense because this isn't the first time the Israelis have done this. They did this to Nixon. They've done it to other presidents where they threaten nuclear response. And it puts the U.S. in a very bad spot, and they have to intervene. So it makes a lot of sense why he did something so unpopular like bombing Iran. But it's basically because the Israelis gave them nuclear blackmail.
Yeah, so we were pretty much vindicated on how disastrous that 12-day war was. But another one, did you see recently, we both were against regime change in Venezuela and kidnapping Maduro for oil. Yeah. Did you see that now BRICS has released that $2-3 billion of oil has been shipped over to Israel?
Yeah, I did see that, man. I did see that. And this is, this is a big reason why I was not for that conflict, because I knew that oil was probably going to end up somewhere in the Middle East. And, you know, for whether you like Maduro or not, Maduro was very pro-Palestine. He didn't like Israel. He didn't recognize them as a sovereign state. You know, he was getting closer and closer to the Chinese and the Russians with BRICS. And, you know, we've pretty much shown here that if you challenge the hegemony of the U.S. dollar, you're putting a target on your back. And that's exactly what happened with Venezuela, as well as Gaddafi and others that have done it.
Right. So if someone in chat could send me the tweet where Alex Jones it seemed like he was promoting the Iran war. Here's the tweet where right when the Epstein files were released. Can you see this, Myron? It says a major investigation.
It's a little faint, but I can see it.
He said a major investigation is
underway
to determine if reports are true that the current New York City mayor, Zohran Mamdani, is the biological son of Jeffrey Epstein. And look at this AI slop here. There's Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Ghislaine Maxwell, Mamdani's mother, Mamdani and Epstein in the middle of the street. This has got to be AI. Like, when was this picture taken? This looks like blatant AI. It looks like Facebook mom AI slop. Right? Why were they all meeting here? They're in the middle of the street. There's no security. They're outside it. They're not at a party like they usually are. This is stupid. He's putting out stupid shit to just distract people and get people all kooky and crazy, while we should be looking at the fact that he worked for Israel. This is retarded shit.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming from him. I think someone might have like retweeted it when I was like scrolling through or whatever. And I think he had also posted something like it was like from a soccer game or some shit like that. And he corrected, I think Jackson Hinkle corrected him on it. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, that was my bad on that video, which he does issue corrections every now and then. But this one I'm not too 100% sure about.
He makes too many mistakes. For a guy who's been doing it for that long, he's been making some embarrassing mistakes. They're saying that it's not AI, but yeah, I mean, even if that's
no one's perfect.
Even if it's not AI, yeah, I would just like to see him get it better, because like if anybody was going to be controlled opposition, like we're seeing Alex Jones make mistake after mistake for serious things like this is embarrassing. And it really does raise that question about who he's working for.
Yeah, no, I see your perspective. But no, I could set it up so you guys can have a discussion. I think that would be a good discussion between you and him for sure. Mm-hmm. If you want, you guys could do a debate. But no, I agree on that part where too much of the right blames Israel, but they'll never talk about, you know, Judaism. You know, they'll just sit there and complain and say Muslims are taking over when they have like no representation as social media and finance, the government, etc. The representation is literally minuscule compared to them. So I've always found it interesting how they're able to just psyop that fear and weaponize it to justify wars all across the Middle East.
Right. I've been watching lectures from this Professor Zhang, and I just had him on stream 2 days ago. I'm not sure. He's really well-read and good at geopolitical analysis. He predicted a lot of this about Iran and Venezuela. There's one thing that he said in the interview. He thinks that war in Iran is going to be disastrous for America because we have shock and awe now. We have hubris, right? The American empire operates based off of ego. And he thinks that Trump is going to deploy 100,000 troops and that Iran will win because they can shoot down all the planes because it's surrounded by mountains. Iran is a mountainous region. Is that war going to be successful? Who do you think is going to win that war between the U.S. and Iran?
Sure. No, that's a great question. Here, is your screen frozen on my end? I think your screen's frozen on mine.
No, it's working for me.
Here, how do I refresh your thing?
Here, let me turn my camera on and off for you. Good? Now mine's frozen. Look at his face, bro. Oh, Myron. Oh, Myron. Let's go see what's he doing right now. Every time with this. Please, sir, can you fix the Discord? He's failed. Here, I'm gonna call him back. He's bugging out right now. Oh, Myron. I've got tech teams in Sudan. I've got tech teams in India. I've got an Indian girlfriend. Let me close out. Maybe, is he vindicated? Chad, this doesn't happen with anybody else. We did like a 6-hour Discord call yesterday with Neon, Aided, and Cheezer. It's been fine elsewhere with everyone else, right? Sir, Discord is for black people, sir. Come on. Hey, can you hear me?
You there?
Yes.
Okay. Yep, I got you now. That was on your end, right?
I don't know. Don't think so.
It was. How does it feel? I told you Discord sucks.
I don't know, man. Did like
it was. I brought. Nick, I'm looking at your stream. Don't literally, I got it up on the side here. I saw you go black screen. Come on. You always try to blame tech stuff on me.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was on your side, bro. So to answer your question.
Go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, no, good question. Just so for those that are just tuning in. So the question was, what would a war with Iran look like between us? Would we win? What would it happen, right? Basically is like my prediction.
Yeah, I want to see how you think this is going to play out, because either way, whoever wins, especially if America loses, Israel wins. America's involvement in the Middle East will cease to exist, and Israel can expand as the greater state of Israel and do what they've always wanted to do and become a greater Israel from the Euphrates to the Nile, like they have on the badge of the IDF uniforms, right? So they're not even looking for us to win. They just want us to battle each other. And if we do use nukes, what's going to happen, and Putin's been threatening this, is Putin will use nukes if we use nukes.
Yeah, so I can go deep into this of what's going to happen. So the bottom line is this: if we were to hypothetically get into a full-on war with Iran, we would win. However, I'm going to be explicitly clear about this. It would be a win at a cost that would be so grave that it's not even worth winning. So the Iranians understand that we are a military superpower compared to them, and we beat them in almost every regard. The Iranians know this. So what they've done over the past couple of decades is they've strengthened their position with what's called asymmetric warfare. And their goal is to deter as much where if the U.S. were to attack them, they would cause so much damage where it would not be worth winning the conflict to attack them. So, and they can do this in a multitude of different ways. Number one, they have their nuclear program, right? That's a bargaining chip that they have used to, create the JCPOA, et cetera. They have scientists that can highly enrich. They have a very advanced and capable ballistic missile program. They have a drone program. They have their proxies. And they also have tactical advantage when it comes to the landscape, the size of the country, how they have a lot of their resources spread out all across the country. It's a huge country. It's like 4 times bigger than Iraq. And they have very unforgiving mountainous terrain. Mm-hmm. So all of these different factors make it incredibly difficult for the United States to engage in an actual conflict with the Iranians. And they've put themselves in this position because they know that the U.S. is the superpower, but they would go ahead and try to make it very painful. So hypothetically speaking, if they were to, attack, they'd start launching missiles into oil fields. They start attacking U.S. bases all across the region. I think something like 40,000 different soldiers, 40,000 American troops are staged all across the Middle East, which Iran has the capability of striking. They'd obviously attack Israel's strategic points, Tel Aviv, Haifa, other locations as well. So this would turn out to be a regional war. And the issue why this would be such a problem also is that in order to effectuate a regime change in Iran, it's not enough to just bomb the hell out of them. They have underground cities. They have tunnels everywhere. They have a more sophisticated tunnel system with a stockpile of missiles than even Hamas has, and they can barely, deal with Hamas, who's a ragtag paramilitia group, essentially. Now we're talking about a country of 90 million people, a very competent military. We're talking about a very advanced ballistic missile program. So they would need to follow up with an on-ground invasion. Well, Saddam Hussein learned this the hard way in the 1980s, that invading Iran is really not in your best interest, okay? And any military war planner will tell you that the invading country has a significant disadvantage to the defending country. We struggled with special ops fighting, Mujahideen and Taliban guys in the mountains of Afghanistan. Could you imagine if we tried to fight a more competent military with the same exact landscape, who has more capabilities, more advanced, better weaponry, etc.? It would be a nightmare for us to go in and get boots on the ground. And to effectuate the regime change, we'd also have to be there and babysit them and occupy them as is a transition government. And we simply would not be able to do that. So for all these different reasons, not only is a war not feasible against the Iranians, it would cause us so much damage that it would not be worth it. And the thing that makes me pull my hair out is Iran is not really a threat to the United States, man. They're really not. Like, they're really a threat to Israel. So, us getting dragged into a conflict like this against another formidable opponent who can absolutely put us in a bad situation for a country that doesn't give us much strategic benefit is ludicrous. I mean, even President Nixon admitted this on a news show like a couple decades ago. They asked him, because the interviewer asked him straight up, what is the strategic benefit of supporting Israel? And he said, there is none. It's a moral obligation. Translation, they blackmail us and they control us and everything else like that. He didn't want to say that on air. But U.S. presidents themselves have come out and admitted that there's no strategic benefit. So I think for us to incur a conflict with the Iranians at this point for Israel is fucking nuts, especially since the war, we'd win it, but it would not be worth the win.
Mm-hmm. So it turns out,
for all those reasons.
Yeah, it seems like he's against. So he was in favor of previous strikes in Iran, but I don't think he's in favor. Alex Jones is in favor of war in Iran now, but it still is probably inevitable. So how soon do you think it's going to happen? I don't know if you specified.
Yeah, I think a month. I think a month. And I think that's why. What I predict is this is what Netanyahu did when he came in. I'll go into detail. So he came, went through the side door, didn't even want to talk to the press. They were supposed to only talk for an hour. They ended up talking for like 3 hours. They went overtime. What Netanyahu probably did was this. He walked in there with his advisors, top guys from Mossad, Shin Bet, etc. They gave an analysis on intel. Hey, these guys have roughly 2,000 missiles stockpiled. Okay, they've replenished all their ballistic missiles that they used during this 12-day war. Every day that we wait, they're getting stronger and stronger. Hezbollah's rearming. The Iranians right now are manufacturing something like 300 missiles and drones a month, right? And in contrast to Israel barely getting 400 interceptors a year. Pete Hegseth just put in a rush order with Lockheed Martin to put out more of these interceptor missiles, but each of these things costs like millions of dollars. So even with the fastest level of production, they can barely keep up with just 1 month of resources being produced by Iran domestically. And then on top of that, not only are they increasing their stockpile of missiles that can destroy them now that they're aware from the 12-day war, the Chinese also gave the Iranians a bunch of air defense, new radars, satellites, etc. This is how they were able to shut down the internet, Starlink, when the agitators were trying to get internet. They were able to shut it down with help from the Chinese and the Russians. And the Russians are very good, as well as the Chinese, at jamming technology. So not only did the Chinese come in and support the Iranians, they gave them capabilities to directly combat our air power and our air superiority with our stealth aircraft. So these radars that they picked up, because that's the first thing they did. As soon as the ceasefire was done, Iranian officials were in China trying to negotiate deals because they understand that their air defense is completely trash. So that was one of the first things that they tried to fix in the process. And this is why the Israelis and the U.S. are thinking twice now, because the same level of air superiority that they enjoyed during the 12-day war, it's going to be significantly difficult to get that again. And anytime you're war planning, you have to kind of go in theory. So before, they had like, let's say maybe a 90% chance of not incurring any casualties, not getting any jets dropped. They're like, cool, we can do that. Let's go in. That's why they had the Mossad guys attack them from behind and destroy their air defense before the jets came in. But this time around, they've utilized so many of their different resources. They're not going to have the same level of high expectation of success rate, because now Iran's prepared. They got air defense that specifically counters American and Israeli technology. And the likelihood of them being able to pull it off again, maybe it goes down to 50%. Well, now you got to ask yourself, okay, since the chances dropped off significantly, do we still want to go ahead and try this? And this is what has the war planners staying up late at night at the Pentagon and over in Tel Aviv, because now they have to think twice before they do certain things, and that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.